And welcome back to Attorneys on Call. Operators are standing by, so you can call the 800 number at any time or go to whitleylawfirm.com and get your answers, your questions absolutely answered there. Right now we're going to talk about 5 things that you need to know when hiring an attorney to represent you if you've been seriously injured in an automobile accident.
Right.
Now, I would think, Ben, that there's definitely a lot more than 5, but we've kind of boiled this down to the 5 most important things.
Right.
How do you begin that? What's number 1?
Well, let's talk about this. If you were going to take a trip on a plane,
okay,
and as you get on the plane and the pilot says over the intercom, this will be the first time that I take off and land. I just want everybody to know that. Would you want to stay on that plane?
I probably would not feel comfortable on there.
Right. Or a heart surgeon that told you before you put you under anesthesia, hey, look, this is the first time that we're gonna try this.
I wouldn't like that.
Experience, So of course, the experience to me is the number one. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to talk about, 5, but experience is really important, because you can't advise somebody as an attorney unless you have experience. And experience, what does that mean? Because there's television commercials that are on all the time. We're experienced lawyers, we're serious lawyers for serious cases. Well, what is experience? Experience is having, years and years of dealing with cases very similar to the ones that you've got right now. And whether that means going to trial and having, talking to juries, whether that means dealing with that specific insurance company, because some insurance companies are different than others. Mm-hmm. Some insurance mm-hmm. companies have levels of authority where they get money to settle it different. Okay. And having a lawyer who has dealt with most of all of the different personal lines carriers in cases like yours is important. And also experience in, the way that other lawyers, that you're going to find yourself on the other side. Mm-hmm. So when a lawsuit is filed, you don't meet all of these lawyers on the other side, because they're not on TV commercials, they're mm-hmm. not doing shows. They're insurance defense lawyers. They're the folks that the insurance company hires to defend the case that we file the lawsuit against.
Okay.
And each of these lawyers has different personalities, different styles, different practices of the ways that they handle cases.
Okay.
And so you want a law firm that's dealt with all of them.
Okay.
So these are the things that I think about experience. Whitney recently was in a trial in Wake County. That's experience that we're talking about.
Yeah, so Ann Oxner, another attorney in the firm, and we had a trial in Wake County at the end of last year, and it basically involved a red light dispute. We had a client who said he had a left green arrow at an intersection, and another vehicle coming in the opposite direction claimed they had the green light. So it was a red light dispute. It was denied by the insurance company. Our client had a broken sternum. He spent a couple nights in the hospital.
Ooh.
It was a really bad wreck.
Yeah.
But it was denied all the way until we got to trial. And so throughout the course of the trial, there was an eyewitness that we identified and spoke with. We had someone from the North Carolina Department of Transportation who could talk about the red light schematic and the fact that if our client had a left green arrow, then there's no way the other driver would have had a solid green light coming from the opposite direction. We had talked with the investigating officer at the scene and had done enough research on the ground so that we had photographs of our client's view, the other driver's view, basically every investigative task you could think of where you've got a he said, she said, mm-hmm. who's got the green light. And we ended up prevailing on behalf of our client, and were able to show to the jury, more likely than not, he had the green light, he had the right of way, he was turning. Then they awarded him an amount of money to, represent his injuries and then pain and suffering. And so that's real experience, what a jury of 12 of your peers is willing
Sure.
to award for a fractured sternum and, a couple nights in the hospital. What does that translate to? And so after that case, I got a phone call from a potential client, different injuries, but it was a red light dispute. He's saying he had the green light, she's saying she had the green light. So he ended up hiring us, and we knew exactly what investigation we needed to do initially, and I have a template in the back of my mind for how this needs to go so that we can hopefully prevail for him as well.
Yeah, that's great experience.
Great
Absolutely.
Experience. So number 2, Drew, is communication. And I think
Okay.
we've talked a lot about communication on the phone. And communication means, can you talk to the lawyer? You know, are you talking to the lawyer that's going to handle your case? Or are you talking to an intake lawyer? Or are you talking to an intake specialist? Now, our firm has people that answer the phone that do take information and get it to a lawyer, but you're ultimately going to talk to a lawyer on the phone with us. And I think communication also means, can your lawyer be accessible? Will that lawyer give you their email address so that you can email that lawyer? Because a lot of times, that's what it's easier for us these days to email.
Sure.
And let me even up it a little bit. Will that lawyer allow you to text them? Okay, so our law firm allows for text communications with our firm.
Oh, okay.
And that way people can, if they've got a question, they can text. And does your lawyer let you text them? Does your lawyer let you email them? And does your lawyer return your phone call within 24 hours? Those are some important aspects of number 2, which is communication.
Whitney, in your practice, how important is that your clients want to talk to you, right? They don't want somebody else. They want the person who's working for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the dangerous drug and the medical device litigation, this whole thing, you know, any time you have to deal with a lawyer, it's usually going to be a relatively long process. But with the medical device multi-district litigation work that I do so much of, it's a very long process, several years worth. And so, you know, not being passed off from person to person, having a rapport and having a relationship with someone, because you know you're going to be in it for a while. You know, the clients really explain that means a lot to them. They know they can talk to me, get an update, you know, kind of see where things are, and I'll do my best to, you know, bring them up to speed.
Do a lot of people text now with you?
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, photographs of injuries, and if you're in a car wreck of the property damage, you know, I'll give them my cell phone number. They text me all the pictures they have, and
Okay.
it's I mean, it's, you know, 2018. It's an easy way to communicate, even for lawyers.
Okay.
Right. So number 3, results. If the lawyer can have the experience, they can communicate with you, but can they win? You know, and some people would argue results is number 1. You know, I think, you know, when people hire a lawyer, they're looking for a winner, right?
I
that's
agree.
why they have these TV commercials with actors who look scary, and you know that they're big time lawyers, that they're winners, because people want to win. Okay.
Right.
But it's not just the image on TV. It's the results that you can find out about. We live in an amazing time where you can Google law firms, you can read reviews of former clients to see how the case was handled. You can go to our website, and you can go to other lawyers who are good website and look at past results of the cases, and to see, okay, well, here are some cases that were published in a legal magazine called Lawyers Weekly, and this is what they were able to do in this case. You know, these people can win, or they know how to handle the case. Research to make sure that you're finding a lawyer that's got results. And don't just take that lawyer's word for it. Do some independent research, and gosh knows you can find whichever you need now online.
So, Whitney, I can just Google basically and just do an internet search on that firm or that attorney and find out what their results are.
Absolutely. Right. And, you know, that's one of the things that I like so much. I obviously don't have as much experience as Ben or Bob or Ann, but I feel like I'm in such a supportive environment, so that, I mean, you know, Bob's been practicing in North Carolina for 40 plus years. You can't learn that anywhere else.
Right.
So, you know, to really be surrounded by people who have so much experience dealing with these types of cases, and the really, you know, wrongful death or long-term life-impacting injury, to see how you dive in and start working on those. It's really important, and really, you know, great to find on our website and you know, online.
Right.
All right.
Number 4 is compassion. Does that lawyer care? You know, you're having to invite that lawyer or that law firm and their staff into your family, and you're having to have them tell the story, your story of what happened and how you were hurt. And you want to feel that that lawyer cares about what they're doing, that it's not just a job, that it's their calling, because if people really like what they're doing, they're going to really do a good job for you. And the only way to find that out is meeting with the lawyer and getting that feel, finding out how that relationship is, because that takes a personal meeting. And I think that's a very important thing, is compassion when you're looking for an attorney. And then the fifth thing to look out for is reasonable fees. You know, I think that anytime we're consumers of services or goods, you know, we want a good price for it, right? So I think it's important to look for a law firm that has contingency fees, meaning that you don't have to pay anything up front, that their fee is only if you're successful in settling the case or winning at trial. okay? And that the lawyer will cover the cost, pay the cost up front. These may come out separate than the fee, but the law firm is successful enough and it's been around enough that they're able to front those costs, whereas you're not having to write checks out. Because a lot of people that are injured, you know, they can't afford to pay out any money. They're on a very fixed situation, and gosh forbid, people that have workers' comp claims are on a very limited budget, and they're not going to be able to afford paying for an attorney up front. So you want to make sure you have reasonable fees and that those fees are contingency based.
And speaking of workers' comp, we're going to talk about that in our next segment. 5 things you need to know when hiring a workers' compensation case attorney. Back with more in just a moment.